Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon in China. Good morning in Europe. Welcome to today's webinar, a second in a series of ENRICH in China webinars. We want to introduce the ENRICH in China soft landing zones today, 2 of 4. Last week, we introduced the first 2. If some of you remember or participated in last month's webinar, we presented the EU-Sino Business Consulting soft landing zone in Suzhou and the Beijing Software Enterprise Advisory Center in Beijing. But today we will focus on 2 soft landing zones, the one in Shanghai, the Shanghai, Finland, China Innovation Center, and one in Beijing, the Rongtong Science and Technology Industry Group, the Sino-EU Science and Technology Innovation Center. And I'm very happy to introduce 2 of our speakers today. It is Joan Zhang. She is General Manager of the Shanghai, Finland, China Innovation Center. She has been working there for 10 years in supporting businesses to enter the Chinese market, mainly businesses from Finland. And our second speaker is John Zhang today. He is General Manager and Deputy Director of the Rongtong Science and Technology Industry Group of the Sino-EU Science and Technology Innovation Center. Then I would like to introduce my colleague, my project partner, Vasco Barros from the coordination team in Porto from SPI. And last but not least, my name is Eliza Stepanovic. I am project manager in the Austrian Research Promotion Agency, and I will guide you through the webinar today. But before I give the word to Joan, I would also like to draw your attention to the questions and answers part of today. So please be so kind. If you have questions, just write them down in the section where you can pose your questions, and we will get back to your questions in the part of the Q&A. And yeah. The last thing I want to mention also is after the webinar, if you would be so kind to take 2 minutes and fill in the feedback form, so we can ameliorate and also take into consideration your interests and our next webinars can also be of more use for you. So I would like to give the word to Joan Zhang now and see how interesting services the Shanghai, Finland, China Innovation Center offers as a soft landing zone for Europeans. Thank you, Joan.
And good morning to the European participants and good morning to the Chinese participants. And my name is Joan Zhang. I'm based in Shanghai, Finland, China Innovation Center. And so here I'm very honored to introduce our Finland China FinChi Innovation Center and how we successfully to help the mainly Finnish companies, but also some European companies, how to soft land in China for their business, like business tests and market entry in the China market. So next slide. First, I will be introduce the background of Finland China Innovation Center, and then I will introduce the soft landing offerings, what kind of service we're offering to the new entry foreign companies, and our successful stories for how we help the companies to enter in the China market. So first is the introduction part. Next slide, please. Yeah, so we were established by the Finnish Ministry of Trade and Industry in 2005. And although we are not like a profit-driven platform because of our government background, so our target is more like break-even, but we register as a wholly foreign-owned company, so we can share the experience of how to do business, how to run a company from a foreign company's perspective in China. And also, we are a member of the Team Finland operations in China. So this is mainly for the Finnish companies if they come to China, and if they want to look for help, then they can be in the hub of the Finnish society with different support from the consulate, from the Business Finland, the commercial side, Finnish Business Council. So we're working together to help them. And also in 2016, we got a license as a licensed innovative incubator by the Shanghai government and Pudong New District. So by this kind of certification, we can get local support and especially the policy support for the companies once they register in our incubator, so they can get some subsidies, some incentives from the local government. And you can see from the below two pictures on the left, sorry, previous slide. Still the previous slide, you can see there are two pictures. One is we have this opening ceremony in 2005. At that time, we have the Prime Minister from Finland to join us to give the speech and join the opening ceremony. And the right picture is when we have this 10 years anniversary and we have brought the Finnish Santa Claus here. Okay, so next slide, please. Yeah, so we were established in 2005, so we already have been in operation for 13 years. And in 13 years operation, we have helped over 130 Finnish companies for their operation with FinChi. And on our platform, what we try to create is the office space and the soft landing services and the community. So all the three combine together to create an ecosystem for the companies when they come to China. Next slide, please. Our space, we are located in the Zhang High Tech Park, which is one of the national state level science parks in China. And also it's located in the free trade zone area, which means the policies for the foreign companies in the free trade zone area is more flexible than in other areas. And our office space is 1,900 square meters. It's not very big, but it's quite convenient, suitable for the new startups or the new entries to the China market. We have different type of office space with open stations, balcony offices, corridor offices, meeting rooms, and also we have the casual meeting area and the original Finnish sauna here. And next slide, please. And our core value lies in our soft landing services. And our soft landing services was divided into different stages to help the companies. First, we have the virtual office service to help the companies to kick off their business in China, especially for the startups. When you plan to consider the China market, maybe you don't have the time, you don't have the manpower to have your own people here. So during that stage, we offer the virtual office so that we provide the office address, telephone number to show your virtual presence in China, and your company logos, your company information will be available in our website, in our platform. So it makes real you are here. And also our staff can act as your go staff here to answer any of the inquiries from your clients in the China market. So sorry, I'm still on the previous one. So that they can actually get the real virtual operations instead of just the address and number. And also when like the companies you plan to hire the people in China and you seriously consider to have your local operations, then we have the soft landing services for the companies, and you don't have to register your own legal entity during that stage, because otherwise it's very easy for you to register your own legal entity here in China, but then it takes a long time for you to go through the tax clearance to closing the company if you find out the business strategy is not right, the business scope or the company type is not right. So in the soft landing services, we have like quality care service, which means before you have your own company ready, before you have your own bank account ready, then we can do all the payment on behalf of your company in China to realize the daily operations and the expenses. And also we help the companies to find the local staff in the China market, because it's very important to have the real resourceful local staff who have the network and who have the local insight to help you to open up the market. And when you have the local staff, then we can help with the employment contract signing with the local staff on behalf of the company, because you don't have the company at that time, but then we are the company and we can realize all the operations by our platform. And if you, especially if you are like you are foreigner coming to China, then we can help you to apply for the work permit, residence permit, so that to make your life much more easier and efficient when you first land in China. And also we have the logistics support when you have like import and export with the local Chinese customers. In addition to the soft landing service, we also have the value-added service. For example, we have the business credit report service, because when you are doing the business with Chinese partners or clients, then you sometimes will be worried what is the background of that company, what is the ownership structure of that company, what is the financial situation of that company. So we will do the background check of the target company, so to make you make a better decision about how to go on the negotiation or to start to establish a relationship with the company. And then when after the soft landing service period, then maybe the company you want to seriously consider to have your own legal entity in China, then we can also help with the company registrations and followed with the accounting and tax compliance. And in addition, then we also arrange the business events based on the foreign companies' requirements. And also we see some of the companies may consider to have your own manufacturing in China, then we also help with the factory setup or the manufacturing relocation in China. So by the value-added services, we can help the companies to really step into the China market and to register their own legal entity here. And in addition, because we are like the licensed innovative incubator in China, in Shanghai and the Pudong area, so for last 2 years, we also have the some subsidy program from the government. For example, the companies registered here, then they can get the rent subsidies from the local government. And if their registered capital is over a certain amount, then they can also get the incentive or bonus from the local government. But for this year, the policy is not launched yet, so we don't know that part. But we see there is a trend that the Chinese government or the Pudong government or the Shanghai government or even the China government, they are very they try to attract the foreign companies to invest in China, especially the high-tech companies or the high-tech startup companies. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah, so what we create here is more like an ecosystem. So because of our strong Finnish background, so we have a very strong connection with the Team Finland members, like the consulate, the Business Finland, or the Finnish Business Council, and the slush here in our platform. So actually, we work almost on daily basis together to help the companies. And also we are a close partner with the Zhang High-Tech Park and the incubation centers. So if there's any needs from our incubated in-house clients, then we will also bridge the local resource with them to help them to expand their business or to find some project partners through this kind of ecosystem. Next slide, please. Yeah, as you can see, so from 2005 to 2016, these are the companies we have helped in the past 12 years. And as mentioned before, we have helped over 130 Finnish companies here in China. And things, most of them are the Finnish companies, I think. For the flagship, maybe like Rovio, which is famous for Angry Birds, actually, they also joined FinChi in 2010. And of course, they are a very fast growing company. But then at that time, they also have a need to have the platform to establish their own team, to have the company structure, everything ready before they have their own company here. Okay, next slide, please. Yes, here are some success stories for how the companies really grow with us and grow with us and finally successfully graduated from our platform. So this is about SKS Group, and they are providing the spare parts, mainly tailor-made spare parts machinery company. They joined us in 2007. At that time, we helped them to hire the local employees, develop the local supplier network, and mainly focus on the sourcing area. And in 2008, they registered a rep office here and expand their local team and relocate one FinCom here as the chief representative, and also started to consider if they need to register their own legal entity, like a company in China. In 2010, they further developed their strategy and decided to register a company by themselves, but then they also consider their business type. Then they would like to have a warehouse in their premise, in their company premise. Therefore, they register as a manufacturing company in Shanghai, because we are the more like an office building. So they moved out of FinChi, and now they have their own warehouse, own company, and covering the sales for the whole Asia market. Next slide, please. And then the other story is about BMH technology. BMH, they're providing the waste treatment solutions for the, they're a clean tech, high technology company. Their main components is the big trashing machine connected with different spare parts to make it a solution for the waste treatment. And they joined the FinChi in 2012. At that time, we helped them to hire the local sales team with one experienced Finnish lady and one local sales engineer. And at that time, they focused on the marketing and sales in China and actually they are the first they're the first foreign company entering China to sell these waste treatment solutions in China. And they also joined different like Finnish government organized clean tech programs to promote their technology. In 2014, they won their first project in China. And because their project is quite big, it's like millions of euros for each project. So they expand their local team with project support functions, and also consider if they need to register their own legal entity in China. So in 2016, they finally registered an environmental protection technology company in China. And they have already delivered 4 big projects in China and just signed another very big deal. And now they have a team of over 10 people with sales, sourcing, logistic, project support, so which is really a fully functional team in China. The next slide, please. And then here is another story about a company which they are not like a startup company. They are a well-established, actually a listed pharma company in Finland. But then their story is quite different because they are in the pharma industry. Their sales is mainly through the distributors in China. So they don't have the need to register their own company, because when you have a company, the main focus is because you have to invoice to the local customers and to get the income. So they have never considered to register their own legal entity. So what they do is to stay with us and to using our soft landing platform to realize their operations. And they joined us in 2010 and as a sourcing office. They have one Finnish gentleman here to take care of the sourcing part in China. And in 2011, they expand this sourcing team with more logistic or supply chain management managers in China. And in 2015, they decided that in addition to the sourcing part, they can do something more. So for the medical devices, which were sold by their partners in Finland to China, then they established this service center to maintain and repair the broken problem or the medical devices with problem locally here, which is saved the cost and the order response time. And in 2017, last year, they further expand this idea. So now they have a training center here and with a bigger service center at their local partners' premise. So we can see it depends on what kind of business model, then you can decide which kind of legal entity or presence you have in China, which is quite cost efficient and flexible for the companies when you come to China at the very beginning. Next slide, please. Yeah, so here is more like the logos or the companies nowadays with us. Because our main focus is still from the Finland or the Nordic side, so most of the companies represent the industries in ICT, in marine industry, in smart manufacturing industries, and in the pharma industries. And currently we have around 36 companies with us, and there's one UK company and but most of them are the Finnish companies from Finland. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is more like a brief introduction about us, FinChi, and so what our advantage is like. We can help the companies to start this soft landing by hitting the ground during the very beginning. So no legal entity registration is required for 2 years, which is very cost efficient, low risk for your foreign companies to evaluate the Chinese market, find the partners, and start business. And also we have the dynamic community with full support from Team Finland operations, Finnish companies, and also local resources. And we can help to bridge the available subsidies, policies from the local government with the companies once registered here. And with our fully equipped premise, you can start from day one and access to all the necessary services by us. So just like our slogan, we are like to provide the easy access for the companies to China. Yeah. So next slide. And so on this slide, you can find my information, and if you need any help or information about the China market, especially from Shanghai side, then you can feel free to contact me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joan, for this interesting insight into your service portfolio and also for the success stories. It was very, very, very interesting and very inviting, I would say. So the next presentation is by John. John, feel free to take the word.
Hello. Okay, sure. So now I'm begin. Should I begin now?
Yes, John.
Hello. Okay. So
Thank you.
my introduction is about cross-border acceleration program. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. I'm the general manager from Rongtong Science and Technology Industrial Group, and we signed agreement with ENRICH last year. So next slide, please. So I would like to say that actually I was really very happy to listen to Ms. Zhang's introduction about FinChi's service. But I have to make clear that our company is quite different to FinChi because we are a private company. We are not a governmental based organization. Our group is established in 2009. And we are a science and technology industrial investment group in China, and we are the official partner of ENRICH soft landing zone in China. Okay, next slide, please. This picture shows we are signing the agreement with ENRICH last year when ENRICH was officially launched in Beijing. We signing the agreement with Madam Dr. Sarah Medina in Beijing. Next slide, please. First of all, I would like to introduce a little bit about Rongtong Group international development. So at the beginning, Rongtong Group was a Chinese incubator that are focusing on incubating Chinese companies. But since 2015, our chairman, Mr. Wang Yan, who is in the right picture in the middle, the guy in the middle, Mr. Wang Yan, went on a trip with China's chairman Xi Jinping to UK. And since then, we started our international developments, and we also worked with different countries from Europe. Next slide, please. So you see this picture that after our chairman's trip with President Xi Jinping, we visited several countries in Europe, including Germany, Switzerland, France, Spain, and Lithuania. And also we signed a cooperation agreement with the Switzerland Innovation Center, with the German Frankfurt high-tech park, biotechnology high-tech park, and the Spanish high-tech park association, etc. Okay, please, next slide. And this also shows our relationship with different embassies from European countries in Beijing. We have kept quite good relations with all these countries, including France, Bulgaria, Netherlands, and the Czech Republic, etc., and Hungary. Okay, next slide. And next, I would like to introduce a little bit about our cooperation with top Chinese universities, because at this moment, in the field of technology, high-tech companies, normally all those companies are relying on the develop, especially in the R&D sectors, normally relying on the universities. I think this is the same practice in Europe, because we've been traveling to different countries in Europe. For example, like in Switzerland, we travel to EPFL, High-Tech Park, as well as the Zurich High-Tech Park. They all have their High-Tech Park with different startups located by the campus. So they have these advantages of using the existing facilities as well as the coaching facilities and expertise, experience from the faculties of the university. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, next slide, please. So first of all, I'd like to introduce about our cooperation with Capital Medical University. So Capital Medical University is #2 medical university in China. The #1 medical university in China is Xiehe. So this university has more than 22 hospitals across Beijing, and they have each hospital have a specialty for their treatment, and also they have around 20,000 beds in China. Yeah, so this is a clear description of Capital Medical University. So for the time constraint, we will not explain this in detail. Okay, next slide. So this is actually different hospitals and clinics affiliated to Capital Medical University. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, next slide, please. Hello? Yeah, this is a project jointly developed by Rongtong Science Technology Group with Capital Medical University. This project name is called Beijing Medical Valley. So this medical valley have mainly six functions. The first one is medical salon, is to get together different expert, for example, medical expert or expert from investment organizations. The second function is the Institute of Medical Transformation. That is to transform the research or R&D from the capital medical universities to different localities or organizations. The third point is medical innovation and entrepreneurship camp. So this is very similar to the accelerator program, actually. The fourth point is medical professional and technical service platform. So this is quite important for all medical related companies, whether it is Chinese or international companies, because by relying on the capital medical universities resources, the companies working or signing agreement with this Med Valley project can enjoy the one-stop service for the CFDA authorizations, for the Chinese clinical trial, everything. So when the companies, for example, from Europe trying to enter China, if they wanted to get a CFDA authorization or do clinical trial in China, whether it is medical device company or pharmaceutical companies, they will be served at a one-stop service by the Medical Valley in Beijing. The fifth point is the medical technology intermediary platform. They just matchmaking with different parties for their common concern. The sixth point is medical new products, new technology display platform. It's just like the roadshow room, conference room, everything for the exhibition of new product and the new technologies in the medical field. Next slide, please. Hello? Next slide, please. And the second university I would like to introduce is Beihang University. Beihang University is also a national top university, and this university have quite a lot of faculties, but the top one is the aerospace and aeronautics. I think this faculty is ranked #1 by the QS university ranking of UK. So this ranking is even higher. This faculty is even higher in the UK ranking than the MIT from the United States. Okay, next slide. Hello? So this just basically introduced the Beijing University in a short introduction. It is also one of the first university established after the founding of New People's Republic China, and this is a national top university among all these Chinese universities. Next slide, please. Please. And they have, as I mentioned, the aerospace and aeronautics research and development is the top #1 faculty of this university. Besides this faculty, they also have quite a lot of different faculties that are ranked among the top contender in the international academic field. For example, they have this mechanical engineering and automation faculty. They have energy and power engineering, as well as material science and engineering, and artificial intelligence, cyberspace security, as well as automation science and electric engineering, etc. So all these faculties are quite advanced in the international academic field. Thanks. Next, please. Next slide, please. So now I would like to introduce a little bit about current program we are running with Israel partner. That is, I think, directly related to the European companies. Actually, this program is just give you an example for reference that what we could do in China. Because we already established this Med Valley project, I think the medical field is the most advantageous field that we can work with EU partners at this moment. So this project is jointly launched by Capital Medical University High Tech Park and the Atidim High Tech Park. Atidim High Tech Park is owned by Tel Aviv University. So this project will be mainly relying on the Beijing Medical Valley as a platform to land Israel startup companies, and this will be generally coordinated by 3 companies. One is Rongtong Science and Technology Industrial Group, one is Chicago Frog X, and another is GVI from Israel. Okay, next slide, please. Hello? Next slide. So this basically just introduced a little bit about this project. So this is a cross-border, Sino-Israel cross-border acceleration program. What we're trying to do is by relying on the medical network as well as the resources of Capital Medical University, as well as the abilities of Atidim High Tech Park in Israel to recruit and to select high-tech startups from Israel to come to China for acceleration. This program will be run at different localities in China. It will not be a specific locality. We will select and discuss with different local governments to see which government have the best policies and have the highest willingness to have this settled. Then the Israel startup companies will enjoy their best benefit in China for soft landing. So this also applies to EU companies. So we will discuss this later. Okay, so this program have a secretariat in China, in Beijing and Shanghai, and also in Israel, that is in Haifa and Tel Aviv. So this tells the audiences why. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah. So this page tells the audience why choose China, because we have mainly 6 advantages comparing with other countries. I think the first one is capital availability. All of you may have known that China is quite strong in the capital market. The second is comprehensive competitiveness. That means China not only have capital, but we are also have a high security society and have a very good environment in China. The third point is regulatory environment. At this moment, China's legal system is quite well established because a lot of companies from other countries is mainly concerned about their IP protection and their technology, etc. So I think when they enter China, as long as they have a very good or well-rounded agreement signed with Chinese partners, all their IPs or their intellectual property will be better protected. The fourth point is social stability. As I mentioned, China is very safe. You can walk on the street at night alone, no problem. The fifth one is the local Chinese market and business climate. As you all know, that China is have a 1.6 billion population, so the market is huge. The sixth point is the openness to regional and international trade. So as our chairman, President Xi Jinping mentioned again and again that China will further open, especially you will see that in Shanghai there will be a international convention on imported goods from international market to be held in November this year. Okay, next slide, please. So this actually this page is in Chinese. We have another page in English translation that is identical to this page. Next slide, please, to show all audiences what is being said in English. Thanks. Hello. Yeah. This is just corresponding to the previous page in Chinese. That China, at different localities, we all set up the high-tech industrial development fund. For example, in Beijing, the total scale of this fund is 20 billion yuan. So by using this industrial development fund, we hope to develop a quite well-rounded platform for international companies to China, especially for those startups. At the beginning, when they come to China, they actually bear a high risk of entering a new market. So it would be better to have some government investment, especially like the Industrial Development Fund. So this will help the startup companies entering China to de-risk their fears for this new environment, new market. Okay, next slide, please. So this actually tells the criteria for what kind of companies should be selected or could be selected that have some criteria for 5 points. That is, the company should have a minimum viable product that can be validated in the market. And second, that the product should be address a specific and unfulfilled need in Chinese market. The third point is that this company should have a confident but a coachable management team that have a profound technical knowledge as well as the knowledge for the market. The fourth point is that their business model should have a potential to be commercialized. The fifth point is that the founding team should have at least one foreign-born employee and one founding member that are willing to come to China for business development. Next slide, please. So what we can offer for this kind of attendees for this acceleration program is just some points that we can discuss at this moment. For example, like seed funding for soft landing. So this will be run by the Chinese local government industrial development fund. So this fund will make investment in different startups that are being selected. Of course, they will need to have some equity in exchange. For example, signing the agreement for future equities. The second point is that the Chinese Industrial Development Fund will help these startup companies to make certain amount of investment. This should be discussed on a case-by-case basis. And third point is that they will have a tailor-made accelerator program in different localities. The fourth point is that they will have a dedicated team for logistics service for international companies. The fifth point is that a regular pitching day will be organized in Beijing or potentially in Shanghai to meet Chinese investors, because Beijing and Shanghai or even Shenzhen is the three big cities that have the most investment organizations. The sixth point is the international startup companies will be specifically selected, so that such companies will, so before they come to China, they will be selected according to different industries. So such companies will be just in line with the local development plan of the local government. So they will be more safe than other companies to come to China. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay. Next slide. So this page shows that what companies would be most appropriate to be selected for this program. So we have these two strategies in China. One is China Made 2025, and another is the National 7 Emerging Industries in China. So actually, we combine these two national strategies to make a list of different industries that are most welcome in China. So I think you can look at on the left side that have the different industries name, but the sequence I think is the also according to the government wish for the development. Like the new energy is on top of Chinese government development plan, new materials, new energy automobile, information technology, biotechnology, and micro device, etc., etc. Okay, next slide, please. So this is a very professional, just like the accelerator model. That normally this kind of accelerator program will be run 12 months since they came to China. Of course, there will be also some time for the overseas partners to make selections and scouting for such companies. They will also take some time for 2 or 3 months. So this is a whole process for the 12 months. And on the left chart, you will see that the Rongtong Group will be serving as the general partner to connect with 3 parties. One is Chinese local government, one is the overseas partners. By overseas partner, we mean that the partners who can work with us to make the scouting and for the selection of companies in overseas countries. The third point is the startups. So we connect the three parties all together for this accelerator program in China. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah, so this is my business card, and on the left side, this is my WeChat QR code. So if you are interested, you can scan me, then we can potentially discuss later in more detail. Thank you very much for you all listening. Thanks.
Thank you very much, John, for your presentation, for highlighting the acceleration program, the offer that you have, and also the industries in which you are engaged. If there are questions, please write them down. We can get back to them in the Q&A. But before that, I will just give the word to Vasco to shortly introduce the next ENRICH in China activities. Thank you, Vasco.
Thank you, Ellie. Thank you for the introduction, and also thank you for the other fellow speakers and for the presentation of the organization and their programs within the entity. Once again, it's a pleasure to have those organizations with us and being part of our soft landing zone network. So, as you know, this is the second part of the first presentation, where we also enabled the presentation for 2 of the soft landing zones approved, and now this is the second part where the 2 other organizations have the chance to present their services and their acceleration programs. And as usual, we would like to make a very small presentation of ENRICH in China for everyone who still does not know about ENRICH in China, and also share with you a small calendar of our upcoming activities, so you can keep posted with what we are having planned. So I will just make a brief presentation on our current service portfolio and some of the examples of concrete tailor-made services we can provide. We will also show you some events and some outreach activities as usual where we have been present, and of course showing the activities, trainings, and events we have planned for the next months. So as you know, our service portfolio currently counts with a total of 7 service categories. 2 of them are included in one, and I will further explain why. But from you can see here, we have RDI consultancy and coaching service, RDI intelligence, soft landing and co-working, and together with innovation support certification. This is where the soft landing zones that were just presented fall into. We also have fostering open innovation through training, which complies all sorts of training activities, short courses, workshops, this webinar including. We also have cooperation enabling events, which can be matchmaking sessions and roadshows, tours to China, and breakfast events. And we also have a service with RDI briefings, which is a regular newsletter which you can keep updated with STI developments in the Chinese market. So I will just give 2 short examples of the first 2 service categories that will probably give you a better idea of what type of service we can provide here. So under RDI consultancy and coaching, we can differentiate into categories under consultancy and coaching. With the consultancy, we aim to provide a really strategic and tailor-made service to the client, help the client in their access to the Chinese market from the beginning to the end as much as possible, or address the needs that they have that will require more than one service from our side. With a coaching service, this would be a specific need of the client that we would tackle at once, but it would still be under a tailor-made approach and with the in-depth analysis of the need of the client. So as you can see here below, some of the topics that we can approach and that we can support, and I would just like to give an example so you can have a clear idea. For example, a European medical device company would be willing to restructure their internal R&D department, which they would like to be more innovative with their products that are aimed and targeted at the Chinese market. For this, they will need some kind of intelligence and support and knowledge of the China market, and maybe more information on how to process this restructuring and any strategic decisions. So with ENRICH, we can support on this restructuring. We can make an analysis of the internal R&D team and the product portfolio they have currently with them, and see if it suits the Chinese market or not, and advise them accordingly. This can also go through identifying specific partners that can be interesting in the Chinese market, that can support this company in their endeavors in China. All these categories below will somehow complement themselves if needed when providing a service. So under RDI intelligence, the aim here is to provide knowledge and concrete intelligence on China. So this would be landscape analysis, feasibility studies, business plans, foresight analysis, any types of studies or reports that would provide a comprehensive understanding of the Chinese market and whatever the company or the organization is interested in. This would be, of course, with a resource of experts within the ENRICH in China team and external experts if needed to provide this comprehensive report that will support the organization in being better informed of China. As I mentioned, as an example, with the landscape analysis, we would go through various tasks as desk research, online survey, various interviews and panel workshops to really get the feedback and the inputs from experts in the topic. And then we would develop the report that we would provide to the client, and this, of course, would be of added value to that organization in specific. So this is also a tailor-made report. This would not be a general report that will work out for more than one company. So this would be a report or a study that will be directed to that organization in particular. Going now very quickly of some of the activities ENRICH in China has co-organized or used to promote itself. ENRICH in China was presented at the Global Summit on Development and Cooperation on Science, Technology and Innovation on May of this year. This is just a summary of some of the activities. We have many examples and events which we have co-organized and presented. So, however, this is not the aim of this presentation, so I'll just give you a very small examples. So here, our ENRICH in China representative in Beijing had a chance to make a presentation at this event. This was organized by the Development Research Think Tank, and it counted with more than 120 participants from tech-based companies, investment companies, and other service providers that attended the summit. Of course, this was an opportunity for ENRICH in China to show to other participants and to get a chance to contact directly with potential clients and to have the Chinese audience to know more about ENRICH. In Europe, we have organized various workshops and trainings. One of them is the example that you see below, which was a workshop on innovation and business potential in China. This was organized in Porto, in Portugal, on June this year. We had other replicas of this workshop in Brussels, and it was also very successful. And on the top, there was an event that took place in London. The University Industry Innovation Network organized a conference with more than 500 managers and practitioners from various fields, and ENRICH in China was invited to make a presentation and to show their service portfolio and opportunities in cooperation between EU and China. Once again, in China, we would like to highlight these two events. One of them, ENRICH in China signed a memorandum of understanding for cooperation with the Guiyang National High-Tech Development Zone. This is also an opportunity to foster the collaborations of ENRICH in China with Chinese entities. And then the event below, you can see in Xi'an, ENRICH in China actually co-organized the first Nordic Sustainable City Development Forum, together with the Nordic delegation that counted with the participation of several representatives of embassies and companies from the Nordic countries. Moving on to the upcoming activities, which is the focus of this presentation, we would like to present to you our most recent matchmaking tour to China that we will be organizing in the beginning mid of November, taking place from 11 to 17 of November. So this tour will go through Suzhou, Wuxi, and Shenzhen. This is another tour that we have been organizing successfully with ENRICH in China. You can see below several pictures from the past tours organized so far. Since October last year, we have already successfully organized 3 of them. So these are just some examples of the success of these matchmaking missions. And the idea of this tour is to enable the participants to matchmake with their Chinese counterparts and engage in B2B sessions. Additionally, there will be some seminars and business visits planned during the passage of these cities. In each cities, there will be business visits. And the tour will end up in Shenzhen, where the well-known China High-Tech Fair will take place. It's one of the largest technology platforms in China and possibly in the world. And this is another opportunity for great matchmaking sessions and for the European stakeholders to connect with their Chinese counterparts. So this is a short calendar of the upcoming services we have until the end of the year. As you can see, just mentioned, the first one is the matchmaking tour. You can find all the information in our website or in that link directly for that tour. We will have another webinar planned on November 21st. Which will focus on doing business in China and the challenges and opportunities that we face when doing business in China. Again, this will be an online and free service. And we have planned a workshop in the beginning of December that will take place in Brussels. And this will be focused on co-incubation and funding opportunities in Europe and China. Of all four registrations, you can access those links mentioned below on that table. You can also go directly to our website, and it's also easy to find all this information. If you would like to register for the workshop in Brussels in the beginning of December, you can also contact directly to that email address. Marion Perrin, which is a colleague from EBN, which is also a consortium partner from ENRICH in China, who are based in Brussels, and they are responsible for the organization of the workshop. So any additional information you might need, you can also get it from her. These are the activities we have planned until the end of the year. New information will come for the beginning of 2019 and onwards. One thing we can also ensure is that we will have webinars organized monthly, as we have been doing for the past 2018. We will keep on with this model and have monthly webinars with a variety of topics and diverse pool of experts. And as you know, you can check our website for all the information on the services and the past and recent activities we have, as well as our email address where you can reach us for any inquiry you have, and we will reply as soon as possible with any concrete information, or even schedule a conference call to further understand your need and how we can support. In terms of physical locations, we have the information as you can see in the screen. These are physical locations: our headquarters in Beijing and our regional hub in Chengdu, and our European office is based in Brussels. Also in the social media, we are present in all of these social media. Also Weibo and WeChat, as you can scan the QR code to get more information from us. And once again, thank you very much for all the attendees and for listening. And we look forward to cooperating with you in the near future.
Thank you very much, Vasco, for your closing words. And since I don't see any questions here from the participants, I would like to thank the speakers from China for their interesting presentations. You, Vasco, for the upcoming activities, and of course you, all the participants that stayed with us and are interested. So just contact us if you have questions and if you want to keep an eye on the Chinese market or want to learn more. And I want to thank you and invite you to the next webinar next month. Thank you very much for listening, and have a good day. Bye-bye.